a finely bound Kelmscott Chaucer, a boldly signed portrait of Abraham Lincoln, and a first edition Book of Mormon. Hello and welcome to the Antiquarian Outlook for week 19 of 2026, starting May 4th. I'm Spencer W. Stuart. Details about my collection advisory services can be found below, but let's get into last week's results. Monday, Swarters had books, manuscripts, and maps. There were 285 lots offered, of which 182 sold, making for a 64% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was lot 220, History of Sayyid Said, Sultan of Muscat, together with the account of the countries and people of the shores of the Persian Gulf, published in 1819 in first edition. Estimates were set at £5,000 and £10,000, realizing £7,850. A buy-in of note, lot 1, these two atlases by Cellarius. Estimates were set at £2,000 to £3,000. On to Tuesday, Bonhams had printing in process the David Godine collection part 1. There were 125 lots offered, of which 93 sold, making for a 74% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was lot 114, the complete works of Geoffrey Chaucer, published in 1896 by the Kelmscott Press. Estimates were set at $60,000 and $90,000 US, realizing just above $140,000 US. A buy-in of note, lot 4, this cornucopia by the Aldean Press from 1496. Estimates were set at $15,000 to $25,000 US. Next sale, Rago had photographs. There were 140 lots offered, of which 126 sold, making for a 90% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was lot 124, Richard Mishrak's Untitled 2002, a seed print mounted. Estimates were set at $30,000 to $50,000 US, realizing just above $23,000 US. A buy-in of note, lot 114, Tseng Kwang Chi's Keith Haring and Kids from 1984. Estimates were set at $5,000 to $7,000 US. Next sale, Vermot and Associates had History and Regions of France. There were 642 lots offered, of which 63 sold, making for a 10% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was lot 481, an archive of Antoine Louis Flotte, a professor at the Faculty of Law in Toulouse. Estimates were set at €500 to €600, realizing $500. A buy-in of note, lot 198, a circular address signed by Mirabeau to the Friends of the Constitution Society from 1790. Estimates were set at €1,200 to €1,500. Next sale, Gros Delettrez had the end of the Samuelian library and various others. There were 301 lots offered, of which 211 sold, making for a 70% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was lot 171, Titikian's Figures and the Costumes of the Levant from around 1850. Estimates were set at €6,000 to €8,000, realizing just below €22,500. A couple of buy-ins in note, lot 34, the 16th century compendium, estimates set at €4,000 to €5,000, as well as these maps by Blau from 1663. Again, estimates set at €4,000 to €5,000. A lot that exceeded expectation was 172, Labaud's Explorations of Asia Minor from 1838 through to 1845, estimates set at €1,800 to €2,000, realizing €10,600. As well as lot 228, this study of Egypt in 9 volumes, published between 1820 through to 1826. Estimates set at €2,000 to €3,000, realizing $13. On to Wednesday, Bonhams had printing in process, the David Godine collection part 2. There were 92 lots offered, of which 33 sold, making for a 34% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was lot 176, this herbal dictionary from 1557. Estimates were set at $2,000 to $3,000, realizing just above $11,500. A buy-in of note, lot 155, this 1546 edition of Virgil. Estimates were set at $2,000 to $3,000. Next sale, Gros Delettrez had photography. There were 99 lots offered, of which 63 sold, making for a 64% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was lot 97, the third Citoyenne expedition through Central Asia between 1931 and 32, made up of approximately 1,150 vintage silver prints. Estimates were set at €1,500 to €2,500, realizing €34,000. A buy-in of note, lot 34, an album of photographs taken by Salzmann in and around 1856. Estimates were set at €10,000 to €15,000. A lot that exceeded expectation was 92, Holden's Photographic Atlas of the Moon, done in Sacramento in 1897. Estimates were set at €1,000 to €2,000, realizing $11,000. Next sale, University Archives had rare autographs, manuscripts, and books. There were 473 lots offered, of which 467 sold, making for nearly a 99% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was $216. a first edition of the Book of Mormon. Estimates were set at $180,000 to $220,000, realizing $135,000. A buy-in of note, lot 422, 12 pages of autographed manuscript by Ayn Rand. Estimates were set at $12,000 to $15,000. A lot that exceeded expectation was 227, an extensive archive of papers from the Massachusetts Congressman Samuel Holton. Estimates were set at $2,000 to $3,000, realizing $18,000. On to Thursday, Forum had an online sale, books and works on paper. There were 320 lots offered, of which 293 sold, making for a 91.5% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was lot 231, the library catalog for Joseph Smith from 1755. Estimates were set at £1,800 to £2,200, realizing $1,800. A buy-in of note, lot 61, the letters of Lord Sydenham from 1794. Estimates were set at £800 to £1,200, as well as lot 188, Robert Southey's The Doctor, in 5 volumes, including a presentation inscription. Estimates again set at £800 to £1,200. Next sale, Swann Galleries had important signed photographs from a California family collection. There were 126 lots offered, of which 111 sold, making for an 88% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was lot 85, a signed carte de visite of Abraham Lincoln. Estimates were set at $100,000 to $150,000, realizing $139,200. A buy-in of note, lot 95, Theodore Roosevelt and his cabinet, all signed, from around 1906. Estimates were set at $15,000 to $25,000. A lot that exceeded expectation was 86, a portrait signed and inscribed by John Wilkes Booth. Estimates were set at $7,000 to $10,000, realizing $107,950. Next sale, Potter & Potter Auctions at Advertising Antiques and Coin Op. There were 490 lots offered, of which 458 sold, making for a 93% sell-through rate. Highest price realized within ephemera and paperworks was lot 307, a binder of ephemera connected to various chocolate companies from the 19th and early 20th century. Estimates were set at $300 to $500, realizing $5,280. A lot that exceeded expectation within the same category was 228, this tobacco poster from around the 1900s. Estimates were set at $100 to $200, realizing $2,125. Well, that's been the week from here. What'd you think of last week's results? Anything surprise you? Anything you had your eye on? Please make sure to put some comments below, and we'll keep the conversation going. If you want to stay up to date, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on your notifications, and let others know about this program. In the news, registration is now open for the June sessions of Collecting Insights at the Emerging, Expanding, and Legacy levels. As always, registrants will receive a complimentary copy of Contemporary Issues and Rare Books and Manuscript Collecting. If you have any questions about the course content, do not hesitate to get in touch with us directly. We look forward to hearing from you. Also, for a hyperlinked list of next week's auctions we have an eye on, please also get in touch with us directly. The Antiquarian Outlook is totally independent. Its producers do not hold inventory, nor do they represent any consignments or acquisitions mentioned. Thanks again for tuning in. All for now, and we'll see you next week.